something. I don't know. I'm not going to teach you how to discreetly share your nudes here. Abe.
Not
Figure
going
it
to
out.
tell you his tricks.
A podcast with a newfound respect for Gatorade. Isn't Gatorade just the best? I love Gatorade. Gatorade's just the best. My name is Bob, sitting across the way from my good friend and co-host. That's Abe. How you doing tonight, Abe?
Doing well, Bob.
Yeah, here we are. Lori's here too. How you doing tonight, Lori?
I guess I'm fine.
I guess I'm fine. Tonight is Tuesday, Nope. Tonight is Tuesday, March 25th, 2025. Don't know what that was. Tuesday night, recorded a Billboard Hot 100 game podcast last night because we have baseball both nights. Don't want to try to do two shows in one night necessarily. We'd be up way too late. So we did the fun show last night, and tonight it's just all bummer. Just all bunch of news and bullshit. You guys should go listen. brainiron.substack.com. Listen to that one instead.
Remember when you used to do those daily little news things?
Yeah, it was great. They were fun.
The press.
And we set the over-under? And you were...
I exceeded the shameful over-under, but that's because you guys had like zero faith whatsoever in me.
Yeah.
But I did not keep it going through the baseball season. It had to die once baseball season started. Didn't bring it back, but we invented cast iron balls as a second podcast. Eventually, you will find the PK, the Philip K. Dicksquisition in your email inbox if you're a subscriber at brainiron.substack.com. And that's going to be a great deal of fun as well. There's just endless content coming from the good folks at the Brain Iron Multinational Media Company. Speaking of cast iron balls, exciting news in the world of sport this evening. DangeRuss Wilson has signed with the New York Football Giants. It's why I'm suddenly enthusiastic about Gatorade. Happy to talk about my love for primary sponsors of myself and my sport at any and all times.
Is he still peddling that water?
I don't know. Probably.
That quack water? Yeah.
Russell Wilson is one of my least favorite athletes of modern vintage, and now he's the quarterback of the football team that I used to like a lot and haven't paid much attention to the last couple seasons.
Why not?
Because they suck.
I'm sure you've explained this before, but what's the genesis for your hatred for Russell Wilson? I mean, this seems like just He's
just such a fucking herb, Abe. He is the definition of a herb. He has all of that like Tom Brady energy about him. I
don't feel like he has any Tom Brady energy.
No, like the full buy-in, he's a true believer in just, this is great, man. You just work hard and things are going to work out for you because the Lord loves you, Jesus loves you, and what could possibly go wrong? And he's just, I don't buy any of his rah-rah bullshit. Every time he's talking, I don't believe him. He thinks he knows what a leader is because like his psychotic father taught him when he was 8 years old how to be a leader of men. And that's the result. The grown-ass man, Russell Wilson, who seems like a fraudulent pile of garbage, is the result. And that's what happens. You can ruin a person very early.
Is it possible to do that true believing shtick but be sincere? Like, where it doesn't read phony like it does with Russell and others? Like,
Yes.
It does read phony, though, right?
I mean...
It's not just me. It reads phony.
There are true... I can't think of any off the top of my head. I haven't thought about athletes in a little while. But, like, there are ones who are...
Tom Brady, for example, doesn't read phony.
No.
He is a true believer.
But I wouldn't compare those two. But, you know...
I think Tom Brady really believes...
Shucks.
if you drink 12 glasses of water a day, you can't get sunburns. Wasn't that Tom Brady?
Was that him?
Probably.
Yeah, the 5-time Super Bowl champ talks about diet and exercise, but what he says about avoiding sunburns, well, that is raising quite a few eyebrows.
My man drinks 300 ounces a day, he says, on an active day. That's 2.5 gallons of water. That is not something recommended for most people to do, but he says this is what works for him.
How is that equated then to not getting a sunburn?
It doesn't equate at all. Okay, remember, this is Tom Brady. He has QB next to his name, not PhD. All right, whatever is working, all right, whatever is working for him works just fine.
Was that Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady? All these idiots believe such nonsense. I think he was the drink a lot of water and don't get sunburns. I remember
he had some weird diet, like something about like no tomatoes or something. But
yeah. Anyway, I guess I'm rooting for Russell Wilson this fall.
That and perhaps Jameis Winston if he's signed with the program.
That screams
what a pair
of multiple like early and mid-season Thursday night games. Doesn't
An
it?
actual rapist.
Let's get the Giants in there on Thursday because they got that draw. They got that Super Bowl winning quarterback on that team. That's right. Now. People are going to tune in. Fuck.
Whatever. We're not doing anything else on Thursdays.
Yeah. Anyway, how was your day, Abe? A long time no talk.
Yeah. Same as yesterday.
Anything exciting there at the IRS today?
No, nothing exciting.
I think he's lying.
Yeah, I think he's lying too, man. It seemed like a lie. Something happened.
Nothing exciting happens at work.
All right, let's jump into the news here. As we discussed, I didn't include it in the show because that was a Billboard show. I didn't include any of our chatting about the news. Abe, on Monday, as you know, it was revealed, the journalist for The Atlantic, Jeffrey Goldberg, he's actually the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic, has been for a few years, published an article with the headline, "The Trump Administration Accidentally Texted Me Its War Plans." I found out about this on my way out the door to our baseball game yesterday and didn't get a chance to read up on it. My brother Andrew sent it to me, and anytime it's Andrew breaking news to me, you know it's probably pretty good. He's not just sending me it's like random Trump headlines like it's 2017. He saves the good ones for me, and this is a pretty good one. Abe, have you ever, before we get into the substance here, have you ever accidentally been included on or otherwise accidentally texted the wrong thing to the wrong person?
So there was a text thread where it was supposed to be like a surprise for somebody. I forget the particulars, but it was like a surprise for somebody. But that person who was to be surprised was inadvertently included in the planning for the surprise. Yeah. Undercutting the surprise. But nothing like national security stuff. Just
now, you did that entirely in the like third person removed. Did you do the including of the to be surprised individual?
No, I did not.
Okay. It sounded like you were trying to avoid blame and opprobrium for the action in the way that you phrased it.
So there was another Lori, spelled my name, who worked for the company that I worked for a different distributor. So I worked for Davines, and I worked for Twin State, the distributor. Davines is the brand. There was another Lori who worked for Beauty Scope or whatever it was. It doesn't matter. And people from Davines, like she's not that she's higher up than me, but in a way she was. We had a completely different job. She was a sales rep, and I was an educator. But they would often text me questions that were for her, and I'd be like, hey, wrong, Lori. And then one day there was a group text that started with me in it, and I just never said anything because that's interesting because it wasn't to her. Yeah. And I think she was on it, too. Like, I think they just kind of put both just in case. And for years, I was getting, after I stopped working for the company anymore, I was getting like inside information for a little while, and only recently did they kill that text group and start a new one because of whatever. It wasn't because of me, but they never knew.
Wow.
I was just watching Just watching people be wrong about stuff sometimes. It's fine.
Relatively low stakes, the
Yes.
internal workings of when to like set up classes to educate hairdressers.
Well, and like specific product questions, usually hair related, or like, hey, I heard we're going to start selling DangeRuss through Sephora. How are we justifying this? Like a little bit of juicy stuff, but nothing really good. Not at all national security. Not even a little bit. And it was WhatsApp, not Signal.
I have screenshotted a conversation and then sent it to the
sure
person.
have.
Screenshotted a conversation and then sent it to the person whose messages I had just screenshot.
Recently you did that.
Which is not great. Like it's.
Was there any commentary included? Look at this fucking dope.
No, I had
Thankfully, no.
So I screenshotted the conversation and I was going to send it to
Me.
Lori, and I sent it to the person whose conversation I was screenshotting, and I quickly followed it up by saying, "Well, I'm sorry, not for you. That was for Lori," because it's like it was fine.
It wasn't bad,
Right.
and it was in a way information being communicated.
Right, and I needed to. It made sense for me to communicate the particular bit of
Dodged a
information
fucking bullet, though.
to my wife, but yeah, very nearly did something super stupid.
Also, not national security.
How quickly did you realize what happened? Was it like
Right away?
Okay, as soon as
like
you
right away.
Okay.
Sloppy, and I only know because she told me.
Oh, Marie told you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, at least it wasn't a dick pic or anything along those lines. It was just a screenshot
This time.
of the old convo. God, that's fucking. It is so awkward to send that person a screenshot of a conversation that you're having with them, and they know, right?
Yeah,
They
that's
know.
true. At least it's a good mistake. That was a good occasion to make that mistake.
Yeah, I mean, there are, like, it is rare that I'm not captioning the screenshot
Seriously.
with antisocial commentary.
Right.
It was,
You got so fucking lucky.
the good news is that I had like fired it off so quickly and didn't need to attach any. Like, I think even if I had started to attach antisocial commentary to it, I would have realized I was in the wrong window here.
Yeah.
But yeah, good news. I can't think of like, and then there's the occasional like, you send a text to the wrong thread, and it's like, whoops, wrong thread. You know, like because you're having maybe 4 conversations at once, and I'm like, I'm in a different app, and I text what I think is Lori, but actually it's the fucking PTO ladies. And it's whoops, wrong thread.
Yeah.
And it's easily excused.
Again, mostly dick pics.
Right. Less pleasant on like non-WhatsApp platforms where you can't delete stuff. Like it's like because sometimes you send something by mistake on WhatsApp and you delete it before anybody sees it. Nobody knows. But like on just regular SMS or whatever, you can't make them go away. On the other hand, if I were, for example, planning a war,
Yes.
I'm not sure I would be using WhatsApp or Signal or any other peer-to-peer, end-to-end encrypted, commercially available chat applications on my iPhone, on my personal fucking phone,
Right.
for example. Especially if I were traveling in foreign and perhaps adversarial countries to the United States. Doesn't seem very wise.
What if you think that Signal is a classified app?
Yeah, nobody thinks that.
Okay, I thought that.
Yeah, dopes think that, but
I thought that, and I said
people-
this last night, but not on the show, when Julia would refer to Signal as how we, as in we in the intelligence community, communicate, I thought that meant it's only for them.
Right.
Yeah, and it's
Turns out not so much.
it's-
Anybody can do it, like Facebook.
anybody can do it, and also it's not that secure. Like, yes, it is end-to-end encrypted.
Yeah,
but
it's not classified.
You know, I don't understand that. I'm not like a tech person, but like at least to this extent, if something is end-to-end encrypted, which end are these people penetrating?
I don't know. I know that Signal has not had does not have a perfect security record, right?
Yeah.
We know that. And also, never mind the potential for adversarial foreign governments and intelligence agencies to be watching you on the internet, you might accidentally include someone in that group text message who's not supposed to be there. And Jeffrey Goldberg is that individual. I posit the following, which is that this Mike Waltz guy, the National Security Advisor, was going through his contact list and adding people to this group text situation. And when he clicked J.D. Vance, right below J.D. Vance in his phone address book was Jeffrey Goldberg for some reason.
But J.D. Vance was also in the chat.
Right, so they're both in there. He fat-thumbed it. Or maybe there's somehow Jesk Goldberg got in there under a different name and just got added in that way. I can't imagine that it was like Jeffrey Goldberg, and he's like, yeah, he needs to be in on this chat.
And also, it's not like the two Lori situation, right? Where there's another Jeffrey Goldstein or something, and then he just like, I don't know, Jeffrey J. And then, absentmindedly, like there's nobody that has that. And Jeffrey Goldberg in the article mentioned that he knows him kind of like in passing, but it's not like some like trusted source that he's developed over the years where he just he's like on his like favorites that he accidentally pressed. So it's like, you see.
Well, I wonder if Signal is just like Facebook, where they give you that people you may know thing that pops up.
No, I can show you. I have it right here.
But even when that
That's
happens,
what I'm trying to say.
It's going to be people you frequent with or you at least interact with.
This is people in my contacts already. They're not necessarily on Signal.
Do they put the people you frequently contact at the top, or is it just random?
I mean, it's tough to say because I don't use Signal except to talk to Julia.
Okay.
But when I say new group, there's this
context. So it gives you like a list. Okay.
And then it says Allie and Anna, like people, like it's just alphabetical order by first name.
Whatever the case may be, somehow Jeffrey Goldberg ended up on this group chat with Pete Hegseth and Michael Waltz. Pete Hegseth being the Secretary of Defense, Michael Waltz, NSA. The Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance, was there, as was like Tulsi Gabbard and
Rubio
a handful of others.
And CIA guy, a bunch of people.
Right, and they were discussing whether or not and when and how the United States military would take action against the Houthis in Yemen. And I thought that the most interesting piece of sort of juicy stuff to come out of it was J.D. Vance's part in the conversation.
Yeah, he was the only one that pushed back against the plan, right?
Vance said, I just hate bailing out the Europeans again, suggesting that the strikes would benefit Europe far more than the United States. I fully share your loathing of European freeloading, Pete Hegseth, Secretary of Defense, later replied. It's pathetic. So I would like to point out that this military operation took place because the Houthis keep bombing shipping lanes over there. We talked about this a great deal in the past. Speaking of, I believe I covered it extensively in the morning press back in the short run of that little mini podcast that I would do, where the Houthis kept fucking with the ships and disrupting global shipping. A disproportionate amount of global shipping flows through that part of the world. And it is curious to me that somehow J.D. Vance thinks that the United States asserting dominion over that part of the world and making sure that global shipping can continue in relatively unfettered fashion is disproportionately beneficial to the Europeans rather than also being incredibly beneficial to the United States economy. I don't fully understand why he thinks that what's good for the Europeans isn't also good for the Americans in terms of our economy. I sincerely, because this is not something that he's showboating about on television, right? This isn't sound bites for the news media, for the Tucker Carlson wing of the GOP. Instead, this is in private conversation, behind closed doors in theory, and he's saying we shouldn't be bailing out Europe in this fashion. It's like it's almost a non sequitur,
right?
In terms of the way that the global economy works. So his like isolationist bona fides are apparently fully sincere, and we can sort of expect him to ride this extremely Tucker Carlson version of what isolationism is now for the next number of years, right? Like this is where he believes. This is his lane for where he believes he can take over from Trump and move forward. Right.
What's interesting to your point is that this was not intended for public consumption, even though everybody's consuming it publicly now. There's another part where J.D. Vance, the vice president, said, goes into like some detail. He's like 3% of U.S. trade runs through the Suez, whereas it's 40% of Europe. And there's a real risk that the public doesn't understand why this is necessary. And he makes some mention about that. I'm not sure if the president is aware how inconsistent this is with his message on Europe right now. So regarding Europe, I mean, J.D. Vance had his little speech regarding free speech, right? There's been talks about tariffs, but I don't recall there being like a very big message regarding this. Other than Trump's general, like, we're being taken advantage of. And so...
Well, unless the message that he's referring to is we're not aligned with Europe anymore, we're aligned... Like, maybe it's the meta message of basically being on Vlad Putin's side here.
Hopefully that's not where he was... Yeah.
Between...
Because, I mean, yeah, if that's the case, then that's even more troubling because, again, this is like... he's speaking candidly to, people that are of like mind. So, like, if you actually believe this is not for... political posturing for the public, then it's very concerning. Somebody who Jeffrey Goldberg believes is Stephen Miller later on mentioned that, hey, we need to get some money extracted from the Europeans. So, like, let's go ahead and do this because that's what the president wants, to bomb the Houthis. But what if Europe, when we say, hey, this is to your benefit, much more so than it is to our benefit economically, we want some money for this. What do we do if they don't provide? And we need to, maybe impose some sanction or something along those lines. Basically, he said there needs to be some further economic gain extracted in return. So it's maybe they're speaking of like Trump's like grand theory of like everything's transactional. If I'm doing something, I need to get something in return. If it's what you say, which is like maybe this is like we're realigning with Russia, then this would be a much bigger thing.
Yeah. I'm not sure that it is. I don't think that he's speaking to an actual realignment with the Russians. I think he is of the belief that it's the former thing. To just do this and not demand financial remuneration would be to go against the message, which is Europe needs to be paying its own freight here. That's the more likely thing. It blows my mind that this highly educated and seemingly or allegedly intelligent individual doesn't understand that a strong Europe is good for the United States. Is
there a possibility that while he's not talking to a TV audience, he's talking to the audience in the chat?
I mean, he is, but everybody else is basically kind of like giving the go ahead, like, hey, yes, let's go and do this. And he's the one that's like, hey, wait a minute, let's not do this. These damn Europeans. And everybody else is like placating him, like, oh, don't worry, we'll get them back. And yeah, they're pathetic. And America's the only one that has the capability to do this. And so I don't know. Yeah, I don't know who he's trying to convince, but it sounds like he believes this stuff.
I mean, there are obviously any number of ways to talk about this stupid story. And most obviously is that if this was happening in the other direction, the right would be throwing an absolute hysterical hissy fit about it. This is and it's farcical almost. It's absurd that there were 18 people in a group chat talking about bombing Yemen, and to the point where Jeffrey Goldberg says in his story, I thought I was being set up. Like, I thought this was all some sort of thing to try to trick the journalist into disclosing national security secrets and making me look like an idiot, right? That they were setting me up to look like an idiot. And so he didn't publish anything on the story until the bombs were falling on the Houthis in Yemen, right? Until he got verified news on Twitter that this thing was actually happening. Because he assumed that it was some sort of a setup, or he sort of fully expected it, and it wasn't.
Right.
It was real live war plans. They were discussing methods and times and like actual plans of how this was going to go down.
That lined up with what actually happened.
Right.
Like, I can't imagine being a reporter and receiving this invite. You must be like, what is happening? There is no way, like, the senior most intelligence people of the United States inadvertently invited a reporter to a OPSEC in the clear group on Signal, like, hey, don't worry, we're in the clear, there's no one we need to be worried about here, and then just say all the things that you shouldn't be saying in this format. And then
why are they communicating about this at all on their phones and on commercially available messaging platforms? Like,
I would bet you it's out of convenience, and this is not. There's no scenario where this is the first time this has happened. And these are early days. This is 2 months into the administration. Some of these people were confirmed a month ago, right? So like
they didn't know they weren't supposed to,
right? And
like, they're so not good at this. They didn't know they weren't supposed to.
But do we think Jake Sullivan and Anthony Blinken and whoever else from the Biden administration was having these sorts of conversations? Like, is it just naive of us to think that only the fucking goober newbie Republicans who don't realize how stupid they're being are doing this?
That's a good question. I mean, who knows? Because basically the only time this has happened where somebody was caught was this instance, so it's kind of hard to say. But what if all the information that Jeffrey Goldberg did not share because he didn't want to reveal sensitive information. Like, let's say none of that was in the chat. It was just basically like, emojis and prayers emojis and like, we bombed somebody. Basically, it's like very like, this is kind of inept, but it's not like serious. Like, maybe communications like that happens, but like actually going into specifics when it comes to the sequence of targets and the weapons used and things of that nature, I don't know if this has happened before. This is the only instance where somebody was caught doing it, but I don't know if anyone has gone into that detail in like a Signal or whatever, WhatsApp.
It's also extreme. I know that I have a natural aversion to the use of emoji in general, but it's like extremely embarrassing.
Yes.
To use like rocket emojis and while you're trying to impress upon Pete Hegseth what a great job he's done in leading this operation, right? Like they're celebrating it and congratulating one another, and they're doing so with fucking like thumbs ups and rocket emojis.
Is
and
this
stuff. It's super fucking lame.
A poor reflection on our generation? Because going forward, this is going to be the new norm. Like basically all the people that are younger than us who are now coming, in future administrations in the coming decades, they will be like internet people, right? And so like this is already happening with 40-somethings. Pete Hegseth is in his 40s. Like I think Marco Rubio is in his 50s. But like maybe this is how everybody communicates now. Like, because this doesn't look that different from like a work group chat where people do prayer emoji. Like, oh, the building is closed because of snow or whatever. Everybody stay safe, prayer, whatever. And then people like the prayer and like too many exclamation points and uppercase.
These are not. You are not serious people. Yeah. It's the thought that I keep having over and over again. None of these are serious people, and they are in charge of everything. For what it's worth, I think I know it's bad to deploy American military might as a general rule, perhaps. I'm all for the destruction of the Houthis.
It's remarkable, though, that how many attacks have there been on these Houthis? This is like the most resilient fucking group I've ever seen. Like, how many times have they been struck? Because, like, what's his face, the national security advisor, who's going to have to fall on the sword? I mean, first of all, this is embarrassing.
Do you think so?
Okay.
Do you think that he'll resign? Trump has said nothing but
of
positive
course,
things
you
about
have
all
to
this.
maintain the posture of nothing's wrong. I have full faith in him. I'm not going to fire him, which is true. He needs to fuck off because this is his fuck up, right? Like, okay, I'm in the like if I'm Tulsi Gabbard or Ratcliffe from the CIA or Rubio or anyone else, like you did not generate the group. So like maybe, everybody should look at all the people that are in the group, but the person who created the group is primarily responsible for who gets added, right? Because you created the group. This would not have happened if it wasn't for your fuck up, and everybody else has to answer for it.
I mean, I don't disagree with you, but also if I'm Pete Hegseth, that's on me too. Like, you can't be that fucking stupid. I know.
So Hegseth, it's a secondary fuck up because he shared information he shouldn't have. But like, none of this would be a problem because, you know, the signal messages disappeared. This would have been gone poof. This would have never happened to the outside world if it weren't for the original sin of adding a reporter to the group chat. So all this headache, I mean, this just today, I mean, this is just unfortunate for them, but there was a Senate hearing on like global threats, like unrelated to, I don't think this was related to this story because this happened like back to back. It was like Sunday or Monday, the story is released. And then on Tuesday, there's a grilling at the Senate based on this reporting, but they were there for some other reasons. And so they have to answer and come up with like, I don't recall something that happened like 10 days prior. Like, I don't recall what happened and if there was any sensitive information. There are going to be more hearings on this. I watched some of this, and I know it again, like maybe it's a relic of another time, and it's just a function of my ongoing naivete. But like watching the Tulsi, I think it was Tulsi was out there today. Kash Patel was out there, and the CIA guy was out there. Kash Patel must be like, thank God I was not included in this group.
Yeah, but like they're just lying. I think it was the CIA guy who kept saying, "I don't recall, I don't recall." It's like you're just lying.
But you know, like Ratcliffe, I think it was. Like Tulsi Gabbard went even a step further. She would not even confirm whether that was her in the group. Like Ratcliffe said, like, yeah, that's me. But like, you know, I didn't. There was nothing. Basically, they're playing a game of chicken with the reporter by saying there was nothing classified in there, knowing that the reporter's not going to then release the information to prove them wrong.
So that was what the Democratic senators, Mark Kelly and a couple others, were saying is, hey, all right, so you're saying that you guys did nothing wrong. You had no discussions of classified material whatsoever over this Signal chat app. Should Jeffrey Goldberg then release the entirety of the exchange that he has, what would be the consequence to Jeffrey Goldberg? Would the federal government pursue him for the dissemination of classified material in an attempt to harm national security? And their response was immediately dissembling.
Right.
They went from insisting that nothing classified was shared on the chat to, well, I'm no lawyer. Right. I'm not an attorney, so I'm not going to make any of those sorts of decisions. It's like, well, which way is it? Those two things are completely incompatible. And like I don't know. Maybe it's silly of me to find myself sort of not even angered, but like saddened by the fact that I know that those three people are up there lying to Congress, right? They're testifying to Congress and they're absolutely lying. And like, it doesn't matter, right? Like there's no actual threat. It's not like they're going to be held to account for that at all, because they fully half of the country, including all of the people in the administration, are made to tell these sorts of lies, and you have to tell these sorts of lies in order to maintain your good standing.
Right. But going back to Mike Waltz, this is not survivable for him because of all of this that has come. I mean, going forward, this story is just going to continue to bleed. They're going to continue to ask all of the principles.
Well, except that in 16 hours, Trump is going to do something completely fucking insane and we'll forget about it. Like, I agree it's a big deal. But like Trump said today, Michael Waltz has learned a lesson, and he's a good man, Trump said. He also appeared to point blame on an unnamed Waltz aide for Goldberg being added to the chain. Quote, it was one of Michael's people on the phone. A staffer had his number on there.
Under normal circumstances, you know, like I think it was Chris Carter from the NFL who said you need to have like a fall guy, like in your posse, you know, like, you know, you'll treat them to all the great things that comes with being a big-time sports athlete, but if there's like a gun issue that needs to disappear, your fall guy takes the heat. If it were something like not as embarrassing as this, which like speaks to incompetence and like they don't know what they're doing and they're not qualified for this, like if it did not speak to all of that, the fall guy, the assistant, you would shit can him and the story would quietly, you know, go away. But this is such a big fuck up that all of these other, again, the defense secretary, from here until he's gone, the national, the CIA director, all these people are going to get hounded by this. until there's some sort of resolution. And the only resolution you can do is to have the guy who generated the invite to resign, to say like this is causing too big of a headache, blah blah. Maybe by like Easter, let the story kind of like develop some more, get a little more heat, and then by Easter it'll be gone. Like in a few weeks, just like
COVID.
Yeah,
I'm taking the over. I think Michael Waltz survives this particular.
No, I think he's gone, and also I think my unrelated to anything, but this Mike Waltz guy, his brother-in-law is Scott Stapp from Creed.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
That is bizarre.
Yeah,
how do you even know that?
I was looking at, because I remember this guy.
Know Scott Stapp's family tree really
he was like
well.
a congressman from somewhere. I was like, oh, and then he had him on for some sort of fundraiser, and then whatever. But anyways, yeah, he's got to go back to his Creed concert because there's just no way he can survive this. There's no way.
Waltz said Tuesday he was not sure how Goldberg ended up on the chat. This one in particular, I've never met, don't know, never communicated with, Waltz said. Which he has to say, because if he's ever been a source for Goldberg in the past, that is the fireable offense. There's the irony here is that if there's a fireable offense here in Trump's mind, it would be he was in regular communication with Jeffrey Goldberg as some sort of news source rather than the extreme fuck up that he did in adding him to this group chat.
Could a staffer have done it as sabotage?
I don't know. I don't believe any of the things that any of these people are saying, so it doesn't matter.
I mean,
because that'd be cool.
The most simplest explanation is likely the correct one. He just fucked up like a fat fingers or just like something. Like he just kind of pressed the button, with all the options given. But like, I don't know. I don't know how you can survive something this bad.
One official reported to be on the signal chain, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, acknowledged during a Senate Intelligence Committee hearing on Tuesday that she was traveling overseas during the exchange. She would not say whether she was using her personal or government-issued phone because the matter is under review by the White House National Security Council. In normal circumstances, at the very least, Waltz would be gone, and in all likelihood, Pete Hegseth would be gone. But there's just zero chance. I mean, maybe Michael Waltz goes. I think Trump would not allow Hegseth to go after the fight that they had to get him in the spot in the first place. But it's extraordinarily bad, and to me it speaks to something larger, just in terms of how does anything fucking work? Right. Like the amount of incompetence and amateurism with which we all approach everything that we do. Including and not limited to the people at the very top of the United States government. Like, how are they as dumb as all of the rest of us? And like, it just puts a total lie to the idea that the management class is somehow better equipped to deal with the problems of the world. Right. Like this was not some sophisticated exchange of this was not a battle of ideologies by smart individuals having a robust intellectual debate, right? This was some dummies chatting in Signal about what was probably going to happen in Yemen. Right.
But they have the authority to launch strikes on behalf of the president. I mean, like there are real life serious consequences of what happens in these group chats. But it's remarkable that this story could be ripped from like an episode of Veep, right? Like, I mean, this is like it's
100%.
It's remarkable how like this lines up with something that would happen there for like laughs, like somebody fucking up.
Yeah.
And there's no acknowledgement whatsoever that this is a big deal, and that's what's sort of most remarkable about it is that they don't think that, or they're insisting that what happened was not actually that big of a deal.
Right, but you have to. I mean, basically, you have to like hope for the best that you can minimize the story, the damage, but they must recognize how big of a fuck up. I again, going back to that Waltz guy, he must have lost the confidence of everyone in the senior ranks. Like, this guy, look what you brought onto us. Like, you have ruined our first like couple of months. Like, you dope. Like, I just don't know how you...
No, but nothing's ruined because we're just going to find something else to talk about on Friday.
Yeah, this is, I mean, unless they get rid of him, this is going to bleed for a little while. I mean, is this going to be hounding of reporters? Hey, what's up? Like, did you make sure you didn't include a reporter this time? Like, is this going to be just a headache until they get rid of him? He should do the honorable thing. In some cultures, they fall on the sword, He should just tender his resignation.
Right. There was a filing in this case of Venezuelans being deported to El Salvador. The Trump administration on Monday invoked a state secrets privilege and refused to give a federal judge any additional information about the deportation of Venezuelan migrants to El Salvador under an 18th century wartime law, a case that has become a flashpoint amid escalating tension with the federal courts. Basically, what it comes down to is that they refused to give any additional information about the detainees or the deportees that the federal government claims to have about these individuals to the federal judge who wants more information about all of these people. There was one of these dudes alleges, or his lawyers do anyway, that he's just like a soccer player whose tattoo was confused for some other symbol, right, and that he's had no involvement in gang activity whatsoever, and that now he's just in this black hole prison in El Salvador, and there's no communicating with him. Seemingly. So and the Trump administration, in refusing to give any information, even in sort of behind closed doors fashion to this judge, is asserting a level of executive privilege here that is quite disturbing to anybody who cares about civil liberty type things.
Do you think they're using like AI to like come up? I don't want to comply with this judge, this meddling judge. Come up with some law that I can invoke, because like they have come up with a lot of random laws or acts from like 100 years ago, 200 years ago. Maybe some lawyers are out there that just know this stuff. Just hey, use this argument and use that argument from some think tank. I do wonder though, like if they're just plugging it into some AI tool to say like, can you come up with something where we can like legally argue a point?
Well, it's the sort of, because I think some of the things I was reading last week were saying like these things haven't been invoked since, say, we rounded up all the Japanese and threw them in internment camps during World War II, and like that's being proudly cited by the president's lawyers as justification for what they're doing. It's like, wait. You guys realize that was real bad,
but any
right?
president will do, I guess. Yeah, it is interesting how they're like, yeah, it was done before, and we can do it again. But this argument of we can't show you why we detained this person, you just have to take our word for it, can't possibly hold up in court, no matter how creative you come up with the argument, right? Because you can't say like, oh, this guy we took, and the reason why it's a secret, and we can't tell you. So basically, it's like a single point of failure. You have to take our word for it and no other source. Right. And if you could do that for this person, you could do that for other people, and the whole thing falls apart.
Right. Well, and they're asserting that, I mean, these are wartime privileges that they're asserting.
Shouldn't that be the beginning and the end? I mean, if they go to the Supreme Court and if this were decided, this would be a unanimous decision, one would think, right? I mean, we're not at war with this country, right? Of any country in the South America. So, like, who declared war on them for this to even apply?
Right. Well, you would have to rely on this notion of a war at the border, and right that somehow the influx of illegal migrants is itself putting us on a wartime footing, and that since it's the executive that declares such things. I mean, obviously, it gets into.
But then, so that has to be, you have to meet that condition. Then the gang has to be working at the behest of the government, right? That you're at war with. I mean, like, you would have to prove so many, like, very strained points for this to work. Like, it just doesn't seem like this has a chance to succeed.
Well, they don't. Again, with a lot of this stuff, it is to their benefit when they don't succeed, right? So Trump spends a week talking about these radical judges who should be impeached. And then today, Mike Johnson says, look, we control the purse strings. We, according to the Constitution, we have the authority to revoke the funding of and or just completely shutter federal courts. He's not wrong. They do. Congress does have that constitutional authority. They could just close down federal courts if they so chose. It would be quite a step, and they certainly don't have the votes for it, I don't think. But just the notion that for the first time for the first time in the second Trump administration, Congress wants to have its voice heard and assert its authority over something, and it's to threaten to eliminate federal courts that are simply ruling against Donald Trump's personal interests.
I mean, that would be a constitutional crisis.
I mean, why?
Because first of all, because the next step would be the courts would rule that that's unconstitutional, and then going to say you have to recuse yourself because you're a interested party, and the whole thing would fall apart. Like, what do you mean? You're going to, because the argument the court will make is that you are
intention doesn't matter, right? The Congress has the constitutional authority to create or they control, they create, they can destroy courts by an act of law, and so it doesn't matter what their underlying motivation is. There's nothing in the Constitution that says not liking the opinions of the courts is not justification for the ending of a court.
Would that not violate the co-equal branch doctrine of the Constitution? If one pillar can destroy another pillar.
Well, they're not eliminating the judiciary. They're just eliminating. That's what the framers did. They gave this power to Congress. I think it's all fucking mock trial bullshit.
Right,
anyway,
but again,
you're not going to get it through the Senate. You're not going to all of the Republicans aren't going to stand there and say we should eliminate these courts because they've ruled against Trump's immigration thing.
Right.
I mean, there was something. The phrase. Let's see if it was not in this story, so I don't have it exactly right. There was some phrase about the mandate of the people, like the popular mandate as expressed by the most recent election is why you're not permitted to stand in front of our attempts to do as we see fit when it comes to enforcing immigration stuff. And it's like that's an absurdity, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's simply not the case that there was some massive mandate. And if they truly believe that they have this massive mandate, then that's a complete misreading of the moment. Despite his relative popularity relative to himself, they do not have this massive popular mandate.
It is a ridiculous premise because you don't have more power based on the outcome. Like 1984, Ronald Reagan did not have more power than he had in 1980 because he had like a larger vote share.
Well, you have way more soft power. You don't have any more actual legal power.
But they're arguing that there's some sort of legal power that comes with it with a relatively small victory. Yeah.
Again, and I know it's silly to make these sorts of arguments in moments like this, but something that I used to say during the Obama presidency was the reason we don't want to let Obama's executive orders be the law of the land, like the reason why it's important to challenge executive orders that you believe go beyond the scope of what should be lawful executive power, even if you like the underlying thing that he's doing, is because someday someone else is going to be in charge, right? And so this notion of the unitary executive, like, I get it when you work at the fucking Heritage Foundation and Donald Trump is implementing your Project 2025 and you're all excited about the unitary executive theory because he's going to do everything that you want him to do. But like in 2029 or maybe in 2033, but like at some point, someone you don't like who disagrees with you is going to be in charge, right? Like you're not going to hold power forever. And if you give them the power of a king, they're going to use it in ways that you don't care for. And I don't understand why we've gotten to the point where, like, at the highest levels of the alleged intellectual heart of one of our political parties, we have this idea that absolute power should reside in the executive when they must know that they're not going to hold it forever. Right? And so, like, not that they should be worried about being called a hypocrite. They should be worried about being right? They should be worried about actually handing all of these, the executive this power and then having it be deployed in a way that is counter to their interests the next time someone shows up. Like, this is why institutions matter. This is why constraint on power matters. It's because in a pluralistic society where we don't have an 80-20 situation in our politics, some other asshole's going to be in charge someday who doesn't think the way that you think. And like how we haven't learned that lesson yet after the insanity of the way people reacted to Bush, followed by the insanity of the way people reacted to Obama. Instead, we're going in this other direction where it's like, no, well, all we need is more power to the executive. Right. That's what's going to solve it.
You know, the Supreme Court, they have been a little lax in reining in presidential authority, at least when it comes to some of the more recent court cases. So, like, I think going forward, what's going to happen is there are going to be more of these stress tests. Like, let's try I can imagine in a few years, if the Democrats take over and there's some sort of like populist kind of like a reaction to what's happening now, there's going to be an attempt to pack the court. There are going to be other things that are going to strain the system to see, like, what can we get away with? And maybe get rid of the filibuster if it becomes a problem. Like, it has a corrosive effect, and it will continue to have that. So if Trump is able to succeed in some of these moves, then it's going to invite future presidents to try some other tactics.
Yeah. It's just hard. It's the sort of thing that's very difficult to dial back. Yeah. Just like with the pardons, it's like this constantly escalating thing of once a thing has been done, it's hard to bring it back.
I think the generous interpretation that the Supreme Court affords a president is they need to like think of like bad actors at the White House. They just assume like, well, as if it's like an academic exercise. Yeah, in theory, the president should be free. You should not constrain him in this situation, in that situation. But just know that that's going to be used in any kind of way, including a bad way. So, like, if you're okay with that, then continue to rule the way you're ruling. But if you want to, like, rein this in, you need to kind of have some guardrails to where it's still aligned with your outlook on how the system works, but, like, have some guardrails to kind of discourage this behavior.
This is an echo of a conversation that we've had before, I'm sure. But I'm not sure that I agree with what you just said. I don't think that Roberts, and this is because Roberts often rules as though he is blind to what's happening in the executive or in Congress, right? That he is ruling on the merits of the case stripped of the context that you're asking him to consider. And I don't think that that's wrong. Like, it's not, to some extent, it's simply not the job of the courts to scold or to expect or to even necessarily correctly interpret the behavior of bad actors who are acting in bad faith as that. Instead, they have to, it's almost the responsibility of the court to assume good faith on the part of the other things, because otherwise now you're getting into that neighborhood where you're policing the choices of the voters, right? Because it's and you can't solve for that, right? The system relies upon, and the legitimacy of the court to a serious extent relies upon a dispassionate and an unbiased reviewing of things and a treating of the executive and a treating of all of the people who come before the court as though they are good faith adults. And like, to some extent, it's not John Roberts' fault that Donald Trump is the turd in the Punchbowl, right? Like, it's not his job to fish the turd out of the Punchbowl if the American people keep throwing the turd into the Punchbowl, right? Like, I guess in some way you sort of hope for it, right? You hope maybe this is the last chance that we have to save the country. But and not to be overly dramatic about it, but like, if they're going to keep throwing the fucking turd in the Punchbowl, what are we saving, right? Like, if we are not capable of governing ourselves, why are we relying upon the Supreme Court to make sure, or to attempt to make sure that we can sort of hang on with duct tape a little bit longer? Like, if we've decided that it's fucking done, then the court isn't going to be able to do anything in any meaningful way to save us from ourselves. And that's my response to you suggesting that the court needs to recognize that Donald Trump's an asshole, basically.
Right, and ultimately it is the people's doing, but just the the Roberts era has been disastrous to the ecosystem of the political environment. Basically, it has, like, this is now getting worse. Like, to where
I agree, it has not held, right? It has not held, but it's not because of things that Roberts did wrong, in my opinion. It's because of things that everyone else has insisted, or everyone else has done wrong. This is like, and I see the Roberts era as one that has largely stood on principle and largely been
to the detriment of the country. They have.
Perhaps to the detriment of the country, but like we keep choosing it, right? Like we keep choosing it. And I think that Roberts has the humility of realizing that an activist pushback court would probably have delegitimized itself in profoundly negative ways, more so than, I mean, to be fair, they have already been delegitimized in the eyes of many different ideologues through the years.
Right. At both ends, right? I mean, basically, it's like the reputation of the Supreme Court has also been tarnished. I mean, just nothing good has come of the last 20 years. It's just been just this downwards trend.
Yeah, because the thing that is most
the gay marriage stuff figured out.
But justice itself is contingent upon people approaching each other in good faith, right? So like the notion of a court that can determine good and bad or truth and falsity is a thing of the past to some extent in our current culture, right? So like it's no wonder that the court finds itself in a bit of a bind when it comes to this sort of stuff. All right. 23andMe has filed for bankruptcy. What does this mean for your DNA data privacy? I would just like to point out, this is an Our Bogus Future segment. If you've given a private corporation access to your entire genome, and then that company goes bankrupt, do you think it was a good idea to sign the end user license agreement before you shipped your fucking DNA profile off to some fucking
My dad
company?
did it.
I'm sure tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of people sent their DNA to 23andMe. The long-term profitability prospect of a company like that, once they've got, say, 200 million Americans in the data bank there, certainly isn't, hey, send us $120 and we'll tell you how much Jew you got in you, right? And whether or not there's a racist uncle who owns slaves deep in your past.
You know, this information is going to be forever out there, right? So like, and now that you have all these robots doing all these calculations instantly, they'll be able to like gather information that they need, maybe for health reasons. I mean, now that the pre-existing condition component is there, but if they clawed that back in the future and you could deny people, they have like DNA evidence to, you know, make determinations like, oh, you have some weird thing here. You're a bad bet. Like, fuck off, guy. We're not going to insure you. Like, what is like the worst case scenario of this information just being out there?
It's already happened without robots.
Yeah, but it would just be like instantaneous and like much faster. Like you won't need somebody to like sift through the documents. It'll just be done automatically.
It's very bad. I mean, I've never sent my DNA off to one of these companies.
The dog.
Not for any high and mighty reasons, just because I had no reason to do so, and no particular curiosity about such things. It seems like it's always seemed to me like you're just begging for problems.
I would love to do it if they wouldn't tell everybody that I'm technically Jewish.
When you were you shy about revealing that about yourself?
No, I just don't want some fucking neo-Nazi coming after me because I'm technically Jewish when, like, dude.
I don't think you have to worry about that.
No, because I haven't given them any DNA.
What
the dogs, though.
What went wrong with the business model of 23andMe? Why are they going belly up? Like, is it like a one-time, spit in a tube and, here's $20 and there's no, like...
I think you have to pay to keep getting information.
Because, like, that's like a one-time thing. You're not, like, doing a subscription model. Like, you're not paying monthly for this. It's just a one-time, hey, let me know, and then...
But then I think you can pay monthly.
To get, like, what? Like, new information about your DNA? Like, what would...
Yeah, to continue logging into your profile and finding people. I don't know.
DNA testing firm 23andMe filed for bankruptcy after struggling with weak demand for its ancestry testing kits and a 2023 data breach that damaged its reputation.
Oh, the data breach. Oh.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of the fact that you sort of eventually run out of people who are excited about spitting in the tube and finding out that their uncle is actually their dad. and also, as it turns out, they have poor data security, probably because
everybody does.
Everybody does, as it turns out. But again, like, this is the sort of, like, the data security thing. I think I remember seeing somewhere that like it's almost certain that your social security number and name and address are in some database on the dark web, right?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Yes.
Like it was years ago that I used to be much more circumspect about like plugging my credit card information into websites and
using your birthday when it's like, how old are you?
Yeah, like giving a website my birthday felt like, no, fuck you. I'm just going to put 1/180. Yeah. Like I did that like thousands of times, right? What is your birthday? Yeah. And I would just say January 1st, 1980. Yeah. And that was just what because it's like, why the fuck should you get to know my birthday, right? And maybe it was a little bit paranoid and a little bit, but like also, fuck you. Like you don't need to know my goddamn birthday.
I just make it 82 instead of 83.
I'll never fluff that out.
Well, now I've said it, so...
I've received communication that my information has been like hacked. Like the OPM, like the Office of Personnel Management at the U.S. government, like I think was hacked years ago, and like millions of like federal employees, their information is out there, and my iPhone will sometimes remind me like, hey, this password is part of. I don't know how they know this, but they're like, you need to update your password because it's like out there.
Right.
And I'm like, it's not going to come to that. So I just keep because it's like my second email. Like, what are you going to do with this? Like, have at it. Like, and no one has, I've never been a victim of identity theft. My information is out there. It's been out there for years. Nothing has happened.
Right. And that's the thing. Like, I don't think that I could do enough to prevent an identity theft from happening.
You'd be off the internet.
If a motivated person tried to steal my identity, right? Like, I'm basically just rolling the dice and hoping that doesn't happen because I really don't think that there's anything that I could do to prevent it at this point. Like, because there are, I like off the top of my head, I'm sure that I've gotten 10 or 12 different pieces of mail or electronic communication that are like, hey, fucking bad news. Our shit got hacked. And your username and email address and phone number and address and whatever, all that other fucking shit that you gave us, it's all out there. It's in this big pile on the dark web. And here you can Experian does this thing.
3 months of Experian coverage. Yeah, good luck.
You get 3 months of lockdown coverage of whatever the fuck. Good luck. Hope nothing bad happens to you. But like that's happened so many times. And like there's only so many times you can clear your cookies and go through and be like, no, don't track me, please leave me alone, that sort of thing. It's like, fuck it. Like nobody's in charge here. Surely I'm not that interesting enough of a target. I'm one in fucking 6 billion people with a profile on the internet.
Well, and you'd notice. Yeah. I mean, I would notice.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you would notice, and you're
like, oh, this isn't right. Like that time the fucking chicken place took our credit card. That's the thing. Everybody's worried about the internet. It's when you hand it to a person that you're going to get fucked.
Yeah, it's 9 times out of 10, it's going to be the asshole at the
chicken place,
like the cashier, who's like, "Well, I could use an extra $100, so I could probably get away with this." Where was that?
Wayside.
Yeah, they just stole our fucking credit card number.
Yeah, and they were sneaky because what I noticed was that there was a Lyft charge the next day, and like. We don't use Lyft. And I asked you, it was like, did you use Lyft? And you were like, no. So I canceled the credit card.
Yeah.
But maybe you were just cheating on me.
No, that's not what happened.
The lack of...
Why would I use Lyft to cheat on you?
To give them a ride.
Tell me more of this story here.
I don't know.
That's happening in your head.
I
have my own car.
But they don't.
Why wouldn't I just give her a ride?
You were drunk.
In the middle of the day.
When I was home.
The good thing is that there have been so many breaches that there is now there's safety in numbers, because there's so much data out there that the chances of you getting actually impacted is pretty low. Like if there's only like one like data source out there and it was like 30 of you, like you'd be fucked. But since there's like billions of records out there,
but then we would catch who it was.
Yeah.
Flight data show Steve Witkoff was in Russia during group chat on Signal. That's a headline I had missed from earlier today.
Man.
But along those same lines, like, do we think that these people just assume that Russia just sees everything on the internet anyway, so who fucking cares? Like, or China sees everything on the internet, and it's like it's this giant fucking sieve.
Right.
It's too much information, and like by the time it gets through the AI software algo, it's like, well, we already fucking bombed Yemen. What's the worst that could happen?
Yeah, maybe they have the element of time to their advantage. I mean, I think in the write-up, it was about a 2-hour gap. Like in 2 hours, the first bombs will be will be deployed, and so like Jeffrey Goldberg's like waiting at some supermarket or in a parking lot. So like maybe 2 hours is not enough for the other people paying attention to this message group to do anything about it, to like relay the information.
By the way, he left as soon as it happened. He left the group chat willfully, and what's his name? Mike Waltz would have gotten a notification that
somebody left the group. Yeah, Goldberg left.
Somebody left the group chat.
Well, I think you're onto something.
Talk about like a bucket of cold water thrown on you, and you're like super excited, like, we fucking bombed Yemen, guys, great job. It's like Jeffrey Goldberg has left the chat. Wait, what? Fuck, what?
Well, I know that one of the reasons that, not that Julia is in Ukraine, but like if everything we do is online anyway, why bother having humans in this place when like you work with them anyway? And she said it's a timing thing.
Okay.
So it's something like that.
Would it have been inappropriate for the reporter to like also do an emoji, like a prayer emoji or like a thumbs up?
It would have been so good.
Have we found just, hey guys, thanks for all the fucking great info. Have a great day. Good work, everyone.
Story going up on Monday.
Like, I would have been utterly incapable of not getting off a good one before I left the group chat. And by the way, I think Jeff Goldberg behaved incredibly admirably throughout this entire thing. Yeah. Right? Like, what he has done. I mean, it's the gift of a lifetime. As though he wasn't already just fucking fine. You know,
it is like hitting pay dirt. It's remarkable. I'm sure he hasn't gone to sleep since this story broke. Right? He's been like everywhere. Like every media outlet is like talking to him, and he's just like, yes, I'll tell you what happened.
Jeffrey Goldberg, like it's like sitting down. He just shat a golden brick. It's just he just sits down. He just shat money. It's fucking spectacular. And by the way, the administration's sort of jokey response, Trump diminishing the importance of the Atlantic, saying it doesn't matter because nobody reads the Atlantic anyway, that sort of thing, it's very silly, because if you are a person who insists that no one reads the Atlantic, then you are just someone who doesn't understand the modern media landscape, right? You're just stuck watching Fox News or Newsmax all of the time. Over 1 million people subscribe to the Atlantic. I know that sounds like in the heady,
The Athletic, though, that would have been better
during the heady days of like Newsweek having like 10 million subscribers or whatever back in the 90s. I know that seems like a small number, but like it's the Atlantic, it's the New Yorker, it's the New York Times. Like they are probably the biggest news magazine out there. Yeah. Like, the Atlantic is a fucking behemoth.
Right. And also, with a story like this, it's picked up everywhere. Like, if you go to any of the websites, I mean, Fox News has it on there. Every website has this. And so, like...
It wouldn't matter if it was, like, the fucking Indianapolis Star-Ledger or like, it could be anything. It doesn't matter how tiny the outlet is. This is a fuck-up of enormous proportion. All right, let's do a quick Mark Strassmann. We're doing this cold. but I have a pretty good deal of faith that something good is going to happen here.
Is that because you were on a text?
No, Mark Strassmann has not accidentally included me in his text chain with John Dickerson and Maggie Brennan, although I would love to be in that one.
Maybe he's reeling from last week's rebuke of his bullshit end of segment nonsense.
Look, it's fucking oranges, all right, Mark? It's a story about oranges. Lots of opportunity here, I'm guessing.
The ties between Florida and oranges go back to the early 16th century, when Spanish explorers planted the first trees. The climate was ideal for growing the fruit, and over the centuries, the industry boomed. But now climate change, along with hurricanes, citrus disease, and changing consumer tastes, is taking a toll on the state's orange growers. Mark Strassmann has tonight's Eye on America from Lakeland, Florida.
Christian Spinoza drove us deep into the groves of his Florida family's fifth-generation farm. 800 acres of citrus, squeezed by a series of disasters.
It's hard.
Is it as challenging as it's ever been?
For me, yes, for sure.
Resilience, you got to have it.
Got to have it.
Orange juice from Florida tastes great anytime.
In its juicy heyday, a glass of OJ was a staple of a healthy breakfast. Orange crops flourished in Florida, the orange state.
The good old days.
The good old days.
But Shannon Shep knows nostalgia is no nutrient to grow a sunny future. She's the executive director of the state's Department of Citrus.
Some industries have supply issues, some have demand issues. Oranges have both. Fair?
Fair.
Which is the greater challenge?
For us, right now, it is supply. There's that reality moment that hit us in about 2010 that we really did have the worst disease you could possibly have for citrus, the terminal disease.
That disease is called citrus greening, and it's grave to the groves in Florida. A bacterial infection spread by an Asian bug. It's blighted the state's orange industry. Research is ongoing, but there's no cure. Over the last 20 years, production in Florida's orange groves plummeted 92%. And demand for orange juice last year hit an all-time low. This year is projected to be no better. Over the years, consumer tastes changed. Concerns about sugar content have far fewer Americans drinking orange juice. At the industry's peak in the late 1990s, Florida produced 240 million boxes of oranges.
How much was produced last year?
Roughly 17 million boxes.
That's a big drop.
It's a huge drop. We hold our breath on every crop forecast.
This is essentially what we're going to hopefully be picking in the next week or two.
This year's crop looked promising for farmers like Spinoza. But Hurricane Milton last October killed 40% of his Valencia oranges. And now a new threat. Tariffs targeting Canada, the major importer of Florida oranges.
How much of a worry is that tariff?
You know, really, it's our position that anybody who wants orange juice, we want them to have it.
Spinoza's fighting to make sure his family farm has a sixth generation to run it.
Without a doubt, we can have America drinking orange juice. I don't envision a day where orange juice for breakfast is not a normal thing in America.
Never.
Never. I just don't see that day coming.
Resilience. Florida's orange trees have it. Its orange farmers need it. For Eye on America, Mark Strassmann in Lakeland, Florida.
All right, Abe. Did Mark Strassmann, CBS News' senior national news correspondent, get off a good one?
Oh, yes, he did. What a report.
Strassmann gets off a good one.
I mean, he needs to submit this to whomever, the Emmys or whatever. This was a great report.
800 acres of citrus squeezed by a series of disasters. In its juicy heyday, flourished in Florida. Nostalgia is no nutrient to grow a sunny future.
I mean, just because of the number of times he got off good ones?
Yes.
It has been submitted to the only relevant authority, Abe. No one else cares. It's just us. To be clear.
Maybe like a Peabody, somebody. It is interesting that whenever there's trouble with eggs, people still want eggs, but with orange. You're like, fuck it anyways. It had too much sugar. Like,
I've never been a big orange juice guy. I like oranges just fine.
God,
like a good orange is
so good.
A good orange is really good. We years ago made the switch to clementines as my primary source of citrusy goodness.
I used to drink orange juice from the fucking thing from the so good, but it is just sugar.
Yeah, I don't understand. Like, it's a long time since I thought that juice was healthy. Like, I cannot remember a time where I thought, oh, juice is healthy for you.
Yeah, 90s.
I'm sure it was, when I was a kid, I was like, stupid, and just watching commercials. But, like, I don't drink fruit juice as a general rule. Even when we were juicing, I didn't have fruit juices. I had vegetable juices where you just fucking shove the thing.
Sometimes I need to get orange juice to, like, make a cake or something. And it's so nice because we have orange juice.
It's the only time I buy orange juice is when Lori needs it as an ingredient for something. It's just not part of our rotation at all. Like, the idea of including a glass of orange juice with my kids' breakfast in order to get them a good, healthy start.
Grapefruit juice is so good.
No, you don't do that. It's bad for you.
The last time I had a glass of orange juice was in high school. There was some test. I forget the test. But I remember drinking the orange juice and taking the test.
Wait a second. You go to brunch and stuff on the, like, you're an occasional social bruncher.
No.
You haven't just been around where somebody brings a pitcher of orange juice? You just drink some orange juice?
I don't drink orange juice. But on that occasion, I also ate eggs or whatever. But for some reason, I attribute this to the orange juice. Because that was like I've had eggs before and since, no problem. But that morning, it did not sit well with me. I could not concentrate on the test. I had to relieve myself and go to the bathroom. It was a very bad...
Like, it gave you digestive issues?
Yes, very much.
Like dramatic...
Very much.
It's not great. I don't think it was the orange juice. Just throwing it out there.
It must have been the oranges. Just my body was not accustomed to all of that orange. Could it have been the
Sprite?
Did anyone else... I mean, I'm trying to think of, like, I guess you get, like, I don't know, like listeria poisoning or something from the...
Something must have happened.
I don't know. All right, well done there by the Strasser in Florida. That level of energy and commitment to both the pun game and also the alliteration, the flourishing in Florida, that sort of thing. You need to bring that to the other human interest stories that have higher stakes, right?
Yes.
We're going to need it like you used to do during the pandemic. The reason the game exists, Mark, is because of how willing you are to be completely inappropriate in moments of great drama and human pain and suffering. You can't just leave it for these bogus little fruit stories. Texas Rep. Jasmine Crockett mocks Greg Abbott, who uses a wheelchair as Governor Hot Wheels.
It seems like is it mocking?
So much for the woke left.
There you go.
Some might say. You all know we got Governor Hot Wheels down there. Come on now, Crockett, a Dallas Democrat, said about Abbott, a Republican, while addressing the Human Rights Campaign event.
Might be the new good strategy.
That's perfect.
And the only thing hot about him is that he is a hot ass mess, honey.
She might be the key to the Democratic Party right there.
Abbott was paralyzed in 1984 after a tree fell on him while he was running. The accident severely damaged Abbott's spinal cord.
Would you want to be paralyzed halfway through your life or born paralyzed?
I think half.
Yeah, halfway.
I know, but then
sure.
You know what it was like. I would rather just be born with.
But like I got all the running around done already. I'd be fine to sit.
Right, you won't miss it though. Like, man, I was such a good runner. Like, oh man,
I would miss it.
Yeah.
But not so much. Like, kids are running and playing.
He's 67 now. This happened in 1984, so he was like, 25 or something.
Right, I mean,
when
like,
this happened.
prime of his life. He's thinking, I'm going to be able to walk for at least another 50, 60 years, and then bam, no more.
Do we think that Greg Abbott, with full locomotive ability, would have ascended to the heights that he did?
This adversity
propelled him? Should she say that? Should she say that this is like DEI?
Crockett, elected to the House in 2022, was roundly criticized by Republicans. Were the comments. There's a 0% chance that the Associated Press would be treating this story in that fashion in terms of Republicans criticized her if this was a Republican who said something similar about a Democrat. Right?
How would it be framed?
Not to play that silly game.
But exactly. That's why this is what to do. Do this. Be assholes back.
How would they cover it? Like experts say, like it's ableism or something? Like just.
I mean, it would have been covered as disdainful attack on a cripple.
Is that how they would frame it?
Instead, it's just the facts and how Republicans pounced afterwards. Crockett's comments are disgraceful, Texas Senator John Cornyn posted on the social media platform X. Shameful. Crockett suggested Tuesday that she was not referring to Abbott's condition. Instead, she posted on X that she was referring to Abbott's policy of sending thousands of immigrants who were in Texas illegally to cities where local policy limits cooperation with federal immigration authorities, such as New York and Philadelphia. So, hot wheels.
There we go.
So it's the wheels on the bus go round and round to New York and Philadelphia.
It all makes sense now.
Full of illegal migrants. You've been listening to Cast Iron Brains, a podcast with Bob and Abe. Find the show on Substack, brainiron.substack.com, for more from us, including a Billboard Hot 100 game episode that is already published. This week, we had Sabrina Carpenter up against the ladies of Destiny's Child in a thrilling battle. Yeah, so go check it out. The opening and closing themes of our show were composed by Mark Gillig, tetramermusic.com, Tetramer music.com. For more from Mark. Abe, did you make it to the movies this week?
I did. I did not go see that Snow White. No one else did, apparently. I instead went to go see
Is that because you are anti the DEI, Abe? Was this an anti-woke protest on your behalf?
No,
we
not
love
quite.
Him despite that.
I'm not too familiar with the Snow White franchise. Same thing with
it's
the
not
Bambi.
A franchise.
Have you seen the movie?
No, I think I just know something about dwarfs, and she goes to sleep, and then somebody wakes her up.
Yeah, it's not a franchise.
You know, like I just never actually interacted with it, so I don't know what the hoopla is this time. They didn't have actual dwarves, and they instead used CGI.
I think that fucking Peter Dinklage did an interview with somebody and was like, I don't know about Snow White and the Seven Dwarves. I think that's super not cool to make dwarves these cave-dwelling weirdos.
They don't live in a cave.
And then
they work in a cave.
Well, whatever. They go and they work in a cave, right? I mean, that's the classic dwarf thing, is that they're in the fucking mountains or in a cave or what have you doing work. And then it cost a bunch of working dwarves, a bunch of working small people, or whatever the preferred nomenclature is these days, some casting, because they didn't even include any little people in this version of the movie, apparently.
Right. And also, if you're going to do something, if it had some problems, because I think the other issue was the damsel in distress trope, where like the woman is helpless and some dude has to come and save the day. They had to, I guess they did not include that aspect. Like the woman had more agency from what I read. And so, like, if you're going to change all of that, why even take up this exercise to remake the movie in the first place? Just re-show it, Show just the original movie.
I don't know why they don't do that.
Yeah, because, I mean, like, everybody seems to like that movie.
I still don't understand. Because when we were kids, I saw Snow White in theaters. Like, they re-released it.
Oh, really? See, there you go.
Terrified. I was so scared of the movie. But I remember it. Because we saw it in theaters because they re-released it. Just do that.
Yeah, just do that. I mean, or just say, fuck it,
but,
we're going to run it back.
Also, they don't do that because now we can watch them at home whenever we want. How is Disney going to make any money?
I remember being super bored by big chunks of Snow White and also liking the movie. Like, yeah, hi-ho, it's off to work we go. That fucking song rules. I love those little fucking dwarves. They're great.
Dig.
I don't think it was parodied on The Simpsons, so I don't know too much. Is that a song that you just
probably was.
Okay. Yeah. Hi-ho, it's off to work we go.
You have to come to Disney World.
One day.
Abe in Disney World would be something else.
We should take him.
It's too much. It's too much human there for Abe. Like
it's perfect.
He's a great anthropologist of the human, but it's almost too much, I think.
Probably would be. The movie I did go see was the Alto Nights. Not a very highly regarded movie if you go to Rotten Tomatoes, 30-some-odd%. This is Robert De Niro playing not one mobster, but two mobsters. So there's like this is like based on a true story, apparently. It's not a particularly good movie, not one that I would recommend, but I love Robert De Niro playing a mobster enough to where I enjoyed it. Like, I got a good laugh out of some scenes where basically the two characters are both, evildoer mobsters, but one is more I'm not going to kill somebody if I don't have to. If I can bribe the police, I'd rather do that. But then the other Robert De Niro character is like, fuck it, I'm going to kill everybody. And so they're vying for the same kind of turf, and there's a conflict and death and whatnot. But it's just funny how De Niro plays an old mobster one way, and then he's like bald, playing an evil mobster. And
are they not twins? Like
they're not twins. They're like they're childhood friends, and they turn on each other in later years.
Why did they have Robert De Niro play both?
I don't know. I guess that was the hook to have Robert De Niro be on screen the whole time. Which, again, I think I was maybe like one of like four people in this theater. Not a lot of people. This is I gotta say, one of the most dreadful months of movies in recent memory. Like, you would have to go back to the pandemic when they stopped releasing movies halfway through the month before you get to a month this atrocious. Like, it's just been dreadful. But a couple of funny moments in the movie was enough for me to enjoy the movie. But not a good movie.
Well, that's good. Anything else?
I caught the first 2 episodes of apparently like a 4-episode Adolescent Netflix.
Oh, no.
That's being talked about a great deal on the internet. No, we're not going to watch it?
No.
Why not?
Because it's about fucking kids.
Oh, yeah. So kids doing bad things.
No.
And,
No.
But it's well done, the first 2 episodes. If you're
supposed to be a really good show,
okay,
right?
you can watch it. I watched shit on the treadmill without you.
What is that without? I mean, whatever. You only watched half of it so far, so it doesn't matter. But
basically,
it's
like
a kid who gets accused of murder,
like a
right?
12-year-old kid is accused of murdering a classmate, and he denies it. And the family is like, "What do you mean? This kid would never do anything." And they look into it.
Doesn't sound so bad. Sounds good.
No, I started watching that show on Netflix that is cute, and I like it. Doing this, The Residence.
That's on Netflix? What is that about?
It's on Netflix. It's a comedy, hour-long comedy episodes. Someone dies in the White House residence. It looks cute. You should watch the trailer.
Okay, well, yeah. Who? Anyone famous in it?
Lots of familiar-looking comedic actors, and the girl who I don't know her name, but she played Crazy Eyes on Orange Is the New Black.
Okay, I'll check it out.
Doesn't sound nearly as interesting as Adolescence that everybody else is
watching. It's certainly not as interesting. It's going to be way more pleasant for a thing to watch in my time that I'm not working. Because most of the time it's work.
This is why I never get to watch anything good.
You are here all day while
sit
I'm
at home
work.
And fucking watch television. That's what I should do.
I will say this Adolescence is like from over there, the British people. They must have like 30 actors in total. Because every time there's like a new thing that comes out, there's always like one person that, you were like a detective in the other episode, and now you're like this, your father here. They just keep repurposing the same like 30 people.
They outpunt their coverage in terms of number of great thespians relative to their population.
You could start watching this show while you're on the treadmill.
No, I watch the stupid Vegas Matt videos while I'm on the treadmill. It's great.
That's the choice that you're making.
Watch this fucking asshole gamble $15,000 at a time in this stupid slot machine and then be mystified why he's losing money. It's fantastic. Speaking of, Vegas Matt was profiled by a writer at Slate Magazine last week at some point. And
I sent it.
Yeah, Lori put it in the group chat. This is a guy, he's got well over 1 million subscribers on YouTube. As I said, they just sit down in front of a slot machine every day and pour thousands of dollars into it and usually lose. And, it's sort of a ride, as slot machines are. Like they win a big bonus and then they lose most of what they just won. And they go sit at the blackjack table and they either win or lose another few $1,000s. And it's basically just a talk show. It's like 45 minutes every day. The draw of it is the group dynamic there, as it is in most of these sort of social media.
You've talked about it
relationships
already.
Sure. I found out that Vegas Matt's history, in addition to sort of investing smartly in real estate, is that he was a salesman for the bulk of his life, which makes sense. He definitely has that personality type. But specifically, he was into a couple of different multi-level marketing schemes.
Direct sales.
Right, direct sales, multi-level marketing, which, it's not illegal, certainly, most of the time, as long as it's not, out and out.
No, it's not a pyramid scheme. Pyramid schemes are illegal.
Yeah.
So it can't be that, because here we are.
But, this is a person who would talk about his value add or the potential value add of a person that he's trying to recruit into one of these multi-level marketing schemes in terms of your willingness to work, right? Like, we all know the sales pitch of multi-level marketing. Like, if you work hard and you are engaging with people and people are trusting you, then you're going to make money. And just don't think too far ahead, right? Like, it's just keep hustling, make your money, and try not to worry about the underlying ethics here. And I'm not here to condemn the guy or whatever for the way that he made his dollars, but I was amused by, because he's also sort of obviously vaguely ashamed of his past in this industry, right? Like, as one rightfully should be. But also he still maintains some of that. Well, look, if you worked hard and got in at the right time, then you made some money. And what's so wrong about that, right? Like, he's not worried too much about the underlying ethics. And I'm struck by the fact that his value proposition to casinos is basically the exact same value proposition that he had to the multi-level marketing world, right? Which is, look, I'm a guy who's going to bring... Really, he makes a ton of money because people watch his fucking videos, right? Over 1 million subscribers. People watch. They get served an ad every fucking 10 minutes, or they're a YouTube premium subscriber, and so he gets some... I don't know how that fucking arrangement works, but presumably he gets 1/10 of a penny for every YouTube premium subscriber who watches his video, whereas everybody else has to sit through 10 ads over the course of 60 minutes, and that's how he makes his money. But also, he wants to make money by basically getting brand deals with casinos, right? Like, he would love it if one of these Vegas casinos would pay him hundreds of thousands of dollars to only gamble at their casino. And then he'll bring people in because people are excited to meet him because he has this big online following and what have you. But his value proposition to that casino is, I'm going to bring in all these fucking rubes, right? And it's the exact same value add that he had for these multi-level marketing companies that he used to work for. And it's this is slightly less gross in some obvious way, where it's because, look, these are adults. Please gamble intelligently. Don't just fucking throw your life savings into these stupid machines that are mathematically required to take your money over the medium to long term, right? And maybe you get lucky and have some fun along the way, sure. But he is the exact same guy offering the exact same deal without trying to worry too much about the underlying ethics of the thing. And it's amusing. And I find him remarkably charming. It's a group of people that the way that they interact with each other is entertaining enough for me to put it on while I'm on the rowing machine or I'm on the treadmill or whatever.
And that's the selling point, right? It's the personality. It's what keeps people tuning in. Not like you couldn't just have anybody just throwing their money away and that be entertaining enough to draw 1 million viewers, right? It's
right.
Right? Could somebody else try to do this and just be like
somebody else? People,
many do.
Of channels like
right.
this.
There are handfuls of channels like this. Almost none of them anywhere near as successful as he has been. Certainly,
he's the biggest name in this.
I don't
field?
know if he's the biggest. He's the only one that I've seen that like I consistently want to engage with. And it's fucking dumb. It's just like basically what it's done is it's filled the hole where I was listening to like the College Football Inquirer or a couple of different college football podcasts during college football season. It's like, well,
he turns it on our big TV when I'm like washing my face. Like he can't go a minute without it.
No, it's just there's they put out so much content that it's like, all right, I'll like if I've
can't miss a minute of it.
If I've got 10 minutes, I'll put that on. Like
it
whatever.
takes me
I don't
3
have,
minutes
it's
to wash
so
my
much
face.
better for my brain than watching fucking Twitter
videos.
Yeah. Okay, I could be sitting there reading fucking Twitter and getting mad about Twitter shit instead. Is that what you want?
I don't know.
I didn't fucking think so. All right, what did we watch?
Electrics. Well, we finished Inception, The Office, Succession.
Yeah, it was. It's called Severance, Lori. And we finished it. The season ended, and it was kind of dumb. And
they did not stick the landing.
I mean, since you haven't watched it, we're not going.
Just
there's no
watch
point in getting into it. Just finish the season.
Yeah.
But it confirmed. I mean, whatever. It doesn't matter. I don't trust.
No, don't talk about it. Wait till Abe's done.
It's not that I don't trust these. Like, there was this concern about this show that it's just Lost. It's a mystery box show, and they don't actually know what the fuck they're doing or where they're going, and we're never going to be satisfied. They did know where they were going. I suspect
there's going to be another season.
Yeah, there's going to be another season.
Although that would have been a good ending.
Also, where they're going is fucking dumb. That's
yeah. I would have ended the show right there.
Yeah, the show should probably be over, and that would be fine. And I could wash my hands of it. But instead, I suppose we're excitedly waiting for season 3 to come back and redeem.
Are they going to take a 3-year hiatus like last time?
Allegedly not.
They're trying not to.
It's going to be less time this time around, is what all of the principal people are saying. So I guess we'll see. We watched a movie called The Electric State. It's on Netflix.
Is that the horrible movie you mentioned earlier?
Yeah.
It's not horrible.
It's got Chris Pratt and Millie Bobby Brown, and it is
the kid from Stranger Things.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is from the Russo brothers. It cost. Those are the fuckers who made the Avengers movies that made all that money. It cost Netflix an alleged $320 million.
What?
To produce.
I've never even heard of this movie. Electric State.
I have no idea where the money went.
It looked fine.
The
robots looked cool.
Okay, $320 million. Right? Like
rent.
It's effectively an animated movie with live actors also there, right? Like, so there's to some extent.
But it looks good.
It looks fine. It's not that hard to make these things look good anymore. They have all of the computers doing all of this work.
Maybe they had to buy the computers.
I have no idea where the money went. It certainly didn't go into the script. It certainly didn't go into trying to figure out a tone that
it was
works.
A weird movie. The kids liked it. It got Calvin upset.
You know, Rotten Tomatoes is not always the most reliable source, but I'm seeing 16% for this Electric State.
It's not that bad.
Holy shit, 16.
It was better than the Sexy People in the Woods movie.
The Gorge or whatever. The
George.
It was certainly better than The Gorge.
It was better than that.
Wow.
It's an inexplicably tonally weird.
It was weird.
Movie.
It was very weird.
It's a movie that has like interesting things on offer, and then it's like, okay, but Mr. Peanut is talking, like literally Mr. Peanut,
robot
is the robot president who runs things. Like, so the story of it is, and it's an alternate history of the United States. If Walt Disney's attempts at animatronics back in the 1950s yielded this sort of robot future that 1950s futurists might have been imagining, right?
Like robots are among us.
So robots at some point gain sentience, and then there's a robot against us war, but it's not like the iRobot war where there's just a bunch of these fucking automatons and they all look the same, like stormtroopers or whatever.
Right.
Instead, they're all brand mascots. So
and like useful things.
All of the brand
like the
mascots maid. Like Rosie the maid or whatever come to life.
Like the Michelin tire guy becomes evil.
Yeah.
Yeah, for example. And like Big Boy and like the Big Donut Kid or whatever and Mr. Peanut.
They're made up. It's fine.
A lot of them are made up. A lot of them are also real. But the tone of it's the thing I couldn't get away from is that this movie has no idea that it's supposed to be fucking hilarious.
But it also was often funny.
It was occasionally funny. There was one genuinely funny moment. And in the moment, I said, oh, that was a genuinely funny moment. I should remember that. And since that moment, I've been thinking about and trying to remember what the genuinely funny moment was.
I don't remember, but there was a funny
and
moment.
I can't remember it because of it's not a very good movie.
It was also, for some reason, set in the 90s, which it did not need to be at all. There was no need to set the movie in the 90s, except for here is some nostalgia for you.
Okay.
But like...
But in a weird way, it wants to be a commentary on that sort of thing. Like, this is where I'm like, the movie has almost no idea what it's trying to do and who its audience is meant to be. Because my kids liked it on the surface level, right? Like, because it's just sort of an entertaining movie, and it effectively gets you from point A to point B to point C, and like it's relatively well rendered in that way. But like in terms of the tone. And I know I keep saying that word, but the tone doesn't make any fucking sense.
It was weird.
We've got Giancarlo Esposito as a war hero.
He's a war hero, but he's a...
And he's controlling
Avatar.
A robot avatar, basically. It's just Avatar for Giancarlo Esposito, but instead of a biological entity, he's controlling a robot entity.
Okay.
And he's known as the Butcher because
he's also in that show I started watching.
He killed so many robots during the robot war. But he can't possibly be the bad guy here because once again, by the way, who's the bad guy here, Abe? It's the big evil corporation.
That's
right. Once again, driving home my point that the only bad guys in movies anymore are big evil corporations. And Stanley Tucci plays Steve Apple, basically. And or Tim Apple, some combination of Steve and Tim Apple, and
Elon Musk.
And Elon Musk. The moral quandary is so clearly not acceptable. But it's like, should we imprison this child for life and keep him hooked up to the internet so that we can have world peace? And it's like, well, no, that's not good. And also, your world peace fucking sucks as well, right? So it's not even giving you that sort of a philosophical choice there. Anyway.
They tried. They did try with this movie.
Yeah, they sort of tried. I can't think of it as anything but a mistake because you spent $320 million and you didn't figure out, like, what the tone of the movie should be.
Do you think that's why it cost so much money? Because they had to reshoot it so many times because they didn't know what they were doing, and it
didn't seem like it was reshot very many times.
Yeah, and also like Chris Pratt seems dropped into this movie from the funny movie, right? Like, not that he's particularly great or that he's got a bunch of like killer lines or anything.
He's a funny guy,
but like he has a bad he drops into this movie in a bad wig and like he looks like a fucking 90s biker dude. And like, okay, so wait, are we going full slapstick, silly, absurdist farce here? Or is this a much more serious kind of thing that we're doing? Like,
is he the father of 11?
No, he's just someone that she meets and they team up to try to save the day, basically.
Oh.
And It's funny that you say that. She looks old enough to be a love interest.
Almost.
To Chris
Not
Pratt
quite.
in this movie.
What?
An inappropriate love interest.
It would be slightly inappropriate. But
like that girl that you're pining over, the musician.
But if you look at her in this movie, you'd be forgiven for thinking that she's playing a fucking 30-year-old. Like, the way that she is done up and the way that she looks now.
That speaks to who we have playing 30-year-olds.
Maybe, but she does not look like the 20-year-old that she is.
I know, but we're used to seeing...
She's a 20 or 21-year-old in real life. She's playing, I think...
a high school kid.
A 14-year-old and a 16 or 17-year-old, because there's a little bit of a time jump here. But she's playing a younger version of herself at the same time that she looks like she's fucking 35 now. And it's super fucking weird that she looks like that. And like I've seen some things about her on the internet where it's like, what is she doing? Like, why does she look like this? And at the same time that I'm like, let's not criticize people for the way that they choose to look. For the most part, it's fucked up that she's choosing to look like she's choosing to look right now. And it makes me sad because no doubt she experienced a great deal of external pressure and commentary on her physical appearance since she started on that fucking Stranger Things show when she was 10 or 11 years old or whatever. But like whatever she's doing to her face, shooting her face full of fucking fillers and the amount of makeup that she's wearing, like just knock it off, sweetie.
It's weird.
Be fucking 20 because this is a weird look and it's only going to get weirder for you moving forward. Still an effective performer despite the facial fillers and the makeup that she's wearing. A perfectly fine actress.
That's the thing. The movie it wasn't bad. It was weird. And it's like there needed to be more conversations had before they decided to make the movie.
Okay.
But
I almost want you to watch it.
I'm going to watch it. I mean, 16% is enough for me to see it. I mean,
it's like 60.
It's very paint by numbers. Like I was picking out, like I knew exactly what was going to happen.
Well, yeah,
next
but it's sort of it's a dumb movie. Also, you doing that doesn't say anything about anything. It's just what you do.
Yeah, but anyway, the kids liked it a lot, and the only reason that it's rated PG-13 is because of some bad words, I suppose. Like it's. If you've got young kids and they've heard you say the bad words, it's fine. You can let the kids watch it. It's a very, to me, it's almost inexplicable that it cost $320 million in no small part because I can't imagine who the audience is supposed to be. I can't imagine what they were going for, and I don't know what the fuck they were trying to say ultimately. Like it says almost nothing.
No, yeah.
It's not particularly. Oh, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's a very strange found object, and I don't know what the economic proposition is here for Netflix either. Like, how do you spend a third of $1 billion on this fucking movie that, aside from like its quality notwithstanding, like just utterly beside the point, how do you as Netflix expect to make money on a third of $1 billion spent on this movie?
I wouldn't be surprised that like a month from now if they release some number showing that this is like the most like minutes watched or whatever. Like it's always some weird movie that makes a lot of gets a lot of traction for whatever reason. Richard Roper, I was looking at the top critics who all seem to hate this movie. Richard Roper of the Chicago Sun-Times said, "The electric state wants us to believe it has something important to say about technology taking over the world and the pitfalls of prejudice, but it's a giant serving of empty calories." Like, there's a lot of just like, what is this? It's just,
Yes, and that's fair. But there's a lot of movies that I'm like, what the fuck is this? And it was painful, and I wanted it to end the whole time. This was not that.
So I think
this was fine.
It was fine. And you know what I think I liked about it? If I liked anything about it, it was like, at least it's not another fucking Marvel movie.
Yeah.
Right? Like the thing that was a great relief.
It's a sort of a new story.
Was like, though this is just you can't call it recycled. It's just they threw everything into a fucking blender, and it's just a mashup, right? It's just bang, bang, bang on the blender until something somewhat interesting comes out. But like, at least it wasn't like fucking Doctor Strange, right? Oh. Like, at least it wasn't some fucking bullshit Avengers thing.
It was all completely new characters of everything.
Yeah. Well, except for like Mr. Peanut and stuff.
Yeah, but
I have to say, I've never seen, sometimes a movie is like so dreadful, like the critics kind of take some sort of joy in writing about it.
Right, that's the thing. It's not one of those
it's not
so bad
it's good.
It's not, and it's not good either.
Yeah. But like, it's fine.
The cinematic equivalent of Soylent Green. Just everybody's just shitting on this movie.
Yeah.
They need to chill. They need to go. They should go make a movie.
I mean, Jason Alexander's in it briefly.
So really? Constanza?
It's got that going for it.
Wow.
That's the other thing. When I say that, I don't know where the $320 million went, and this is a much.
I think Chris Pratt cost some money.
Sure, this is a broader thing, and it came up a lot during pandemic era stuff where, like, they'd make these things and there'd only be like 3 people involved.
Yeah.
And like everything else was just computer generated stuff. And it's like these worlds have no one in them. This movie has like 8 people in it the entire fucking time. And it's very weird how small these enormous movies can feel when there aren't people in them. And the thing that made the 90s disaster movies great, in no small part, I think, is how it felt like they were really taking place in a very big and real world. And it's the combination of the fact that they're
lots of extras.
Right, they had a ton of extras. They were really there, right? Like they populated real places. And like this movie does not at no point does it feel like it's taking place in a big world. It just feels like there are 6 people involved making this movie, and then a bunch of like Apple iMac Pros did the rest of the work.
They say that this had a similar budget to Avengers Endgame. Like it's remarkable how much money they spent on this movie.
Right. It's not going to do $1.5 billion in the theaters.
It's crazy.
It's just going to show up in your fucking Netflix because you pay $17.99 a month for it.
That's the other thing. Is it wasn't even like released in theaters, right? It just went straight to Netflix.
Straight there.
Wow.
To be fair, not an Oscar contender in all likelihood. Did we watch anything else?
No, we didn't watch White Lotus because we did this again.
That's right. We didn't watch The White Lotus. Was it like 2 episodes left?
2, well, 3 for you guys. But
3 for us, 2 overall?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess we got to finish that.
But
too.
it actually works out for you guys because this last episode is the day after from the last episode you guys watched, and then the episode that comes up this weekend is later that same day.
Oh, wow.
So they're kind of like slowing the pace.
Compressing time here.
Yeah.
All right.
How do you... Oh, whatever. Gotta go to bed.
Abe, have you got anything else for us tonight?
Nope.
Well, I guess that's all we've got for you tonight, then. We will talk to you next time.
Later.
Dame Lillard has developed a deep vein thrombosis in his right calf and is out indefinitely.
An NBA player. That's a lot of these. Is it the height thing? Like, are tall people more prone to those deep vein thrombosis?
Yeah, like giraffes, where if they put their head down to drink water, their head would explode if it weren't for God.
If it weren't for...
No kidding.
Intelligent design.
Wow. The more you know.
Similarly, if evolution were true, Damian Lillard's head would have exploded because that clot would have shot straight out of his leg, right up to the top, bang, dead. I don't know if it's a height thing.
I'm sure it's
do a lot of NBA players get deep vein thrombosis?
Any athletes that have gone it, they've been in the NBA. At least I can think of like 5 of them, and they're all.
How tall is that guy?
He's not like
6'5" or something.
He's like maybe a couple inches taller than you, or maybe your height. I'm not sure.
One of the smaller ones, right?
It's probably like 6'2".
Let's not get to the bottom of this. Start your show.
I want to see how tall he is. It's fine. Relax.
I'm going to say 6'3.5". Just taking a wild guess.
It's the under. He's 6'2". He's my height.
Wow.
Should have stuck to the original.
So it's not your height that's keeping you out of the NBA.
Yes. And also keep an eye on deep vein thrombosis bomb.
Yeah, I've long been convinced that I'm going to throw a clot someday, and that's how I'm going to
go. Yeah?
He has a crazy varicose vein, and he won't go to doctors.
I mean, it's fine. It's not as bad as it used to be when I was out of shape.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. It's better than it used to be.
You just got used to it.
No, it's better than it used to be. It used to be fucking weirder.
Well, if you cleared 40, I'm sure it's fine, right?
Yeah, that's what they say. The older you get, the better your long-term maladies treat you, I think.
Downhill from here.
I'll say.
Over the hump, downhill.
And that's just like vaguely embarrassing things to me personally, if such things were to get out. Right?
Your dick pics are embarrassing.
It's not very nice.
You said it.
It's a question of framing and lighting. Okay, like it's nothing to do with the subject matter.
The proceeding was created with 100% human content.